Hey you, I'm Reese, and welcome to Making Meaning. Making Meaning is here to guide you along your path to make meaning in a way that makes sense for you. This week, I am joined by one of my best friends and roommates, Sophie Alford. Sophie is an event planner in Dallas, Texas, and loves using her skill set to bring joy to people through events and parties. Outside of all of her professional things, Sophie is an avid reader, a dog lover, and just an all-around incredibly caring and loving person. Anyone would truly be lucky to have Sophie as a friend, and I am so grateful to have her in my life and to have her as a roommate that I get to see every day. Sophie and I share a bathroom, and so I'll wake up and see her in there brushing her teeth, and she's just the kind of person who, even if you haven't slept all that well or you don't want to be up, seeing her there just puts a smile on my face. So I'm really lucky to have Sophie in my life. I hope you all are as excited to listen to this convo as I am to share it with all of you. So let's just take a deep breath and jump into it. Hello, Sophie. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here and spending time with me. I feel like it's weird because normally we'll talk and there's not a microphone in between us, so it makes it a little different, but thank you for being here.
Of course, it feels very official. I'm kind of nervous.
There's no need to be nervous. I'm kind of nervous too, which feels silly to say, but because it's just us. Awesome. So to get started, I am just going to start with tell me something that you are grateful for right now. And it doesn't have to be anything special or fancy, just whatever comes to mind.
Well, today I was grateful that the weather was so nice and I got to come home and look forward to going on a walk with you and Nicole. That was like highlight of my day. I had a great day at work, but I was just really excited to come home, and my energy was just very buzzing then. So
I love that.
I'm grateful for nice walks.
We had a really lovely, roomy, what did we call it?
Vodka walks.
Vodka walks, where we make a little cocktail and go on some walks.
I'm going to give credit to my mom for that, though.
Yes. Shout out to Susan Walton for our vodka walks. But we also did, like, HG does the sunset toast. It was a walking sunset toast.
Yes. It was fun. We cheersed on our walk.
Yeah, it was great.
Maybe I'm just being narcissistic, though.
Sweet Nicole! Love you! Sweet Nicole. Okay. Sippy. Some ASMR.
Yeah, some ASMR.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and wait? No, so what were we talking about? So we were saying that you were grateful for having like a little roomy walk when you got home from work, which it's just always nice to kind of decompress and talk about our days together.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that, and we call them our vodka walks because we will take a little cocktail with us.
Adult beverage.
A little
on
adult
the way.
beverage.
No, but my mom, when Corona was like very much the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
And I was at home with my mom, and we would go on walks, obviously, to get out of the house and take my dog Charlie, who I love very much.
Sweet
and
Char.
My mom would take her little vodka on the road, and then I started to do that with her, and she was like, you should just start making TikToks about this. We would go viral. And I was like, no, Mom, I just don't want to. And she still is like, I'm just telling you, you should have done it. And
you should have gone viral.
This is my way of giving you credit, Mother. So thank you.
Shout out Susu.
Yes.
Sweet Susan Walton. Also shout out Bebobs and Lady Waltons. Hashtag not spawn, but Susan, Sophie's mom and Sophie's aunt, Kano, have this delicious company where they make cookies and like different barbecue sauces.
Yes.
And everything is absolutely delicious. So
It is delicious.
shout out to the Walton clan.
Yes. My aunt and my mom are pretty amazing
Entrepreneurs. Strong entrepreneurial women yes. For sure. Awesome. I love that. So obviously that's a big part of your story, but I'd really love it if we could just take a minute. Tell me your story, whatever that means to you.
I feel like I'm back in college at the like freshman year where everyone is like,
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm from Dallas, Texas. My parents are from Modesto, California though. And so like half of our family's in California and half of them are here in Texas. So I go back and forth a lot, like Christmas time and summertime. But I guess, I don't really know where to start or like what to really talk about.
Just you. What do you think makes Sophie Sophie?
Well, obviously my family for sure. Yeah. So my parents are great. They divorced though my third grade. Or that year. So my dad moved to California and I was here with my mom, so that was like a pretty big part of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love, like, you know, divorces are hard, but like I love both of my mom and my dad. And I stayed in Dallas though. Around like middle school, my mom started dating this other guy named David, who's amazing.
Sweet David.
Like my other dad. And yes, I call him David. He's the best. And it's funny because his company installed like all the mechanical aspects of my mom's
That's how they met, right?
Yes.
I remember you telling me about this.
Always been friends. And like he knew my mom when she was pregnant with me, and like I'd met him when I was a baby, but obviously didn't remember it. And so anyways, they started dating and he's an integral part of my life now too. I have a dog. Her name's Charlotte Cole. We call her Charlie. She's so sweet. I love her.
We love sweet Char.
She's such a goober. She's a lab, and she's amazing. I went to a school in Dallas, and then I graduated and went to TCU for college. There I met like my bestest of friends, and
I wonder who that could be.
Take a wild guess. No, but it was amazing, and I had such a wonderful college experience, and I learned a lot from that, from my teachers and from myself and my friends. It was a big growing opportunity for me, so I'm really grateful for that.
College is definitely a huge, because obviously everyone goes for school and they're always like, oh, but it's also one of the like best times of your life. But I feel like
for real, it is.
But also you just change so much. Like if I think back to who I was freshman year to who I am now, like that is not the same person.
Yeah, like I think about myself in like high school, which is a 4-year period, and then myself in college, which is another 4-year period, and that was just like night and day. And freshman year of college was just a huge transitioning period for me. And like I felt like that was the year that I actually really became myself, and specifically sophomore year though, I felt like that was a big turning point for me.
Why do you think that is?
I think freshman year it was nice. I'd gone to my school since pre-K 2, and all the way up to high school, and I loved my school. I had a great experience, and like it shaped me to be who I am.
Yeah,
today.
It would have to, right?
Yeah, but going to school for like that long of a period of time, I was around the same people and stuff.
Yeah, and so you get to know them really well.
I feel like I boxed myself into like a certain personality almost, which isn't like necessarily a bad thing. Like I liked who I was.
Right.
But going to college that freshman year really let me be who I wanted, or not, I guess not necessarily who I like tried to be, but just it let myself grow more and blossom, and
out of that person that
I
it
wasn't
was like
constricted
prescribed for you by other people,
or like because nobody knew me in college. I mean, like I knew a couple people just by chance,
sure,
like Nicole, but it was just just an opportunity to just try new things and just be. I don't know, just explore. And it was amazing. So, yeah, so freshman year really spurred that. And then sophomore year, I think I really settled into it.
Interesting.
And so that's why I said mostly sophomore year.
Yeah, because you feel like you kind of settled into that. So you used the word explore a couple of times. And I think that that's an interesting way to look at, like, growth.
Yeah.
And I think that certainly, like, we're obviously still young and, like, we'll still going to grow and change over the course of the next couple of years and hopefully forever. But what does exploration have to do with that for you?
I feel like when I mean explore, I mean you get to decide what path you're taking and, like, where you want to go. So it's, oh my gosh, it's kind of, I don't know. It was like the first word that came to my mind, and I feel like it fits perfectly, but I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I guess explore different friendships, different relationships, explore different interests. Like, for me, I did engineering all in high school, and I loved it too. And my brain works a lot like that. Like,
yeah, you're a very analytical person.
And I was going to be an engineer major. Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks before I started college, I went undecided because I was like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then my mom suggested I do this class that it helped you explore what careers are available through TCU.
Oh, interesting.
And that helped because I did, like, a strengths test and got to hear different pitches from different colleges within TCU.
Oh,
and
cool.
These are what we can offer you, and this is what kind of career
I didn't know
that
that was a class.
Yeah, it helped a lot. It was really, like, very simple classes, just more informative.
Yeah.
And exploratory, too, I guess.
Right.
And so with that class, and then also I joined the crew at TCU, which was an on-campus organization who does events every week for students in the community. So, like, really just fun, random things, like water slides in the commons, goat yoga, random things like that. And so my mom had a little bit of background in event planning. So she was like, you know, you're creative, you're fun, like, go try to join this club, see what you think about it.
Yeah.
And also it's a good way to meet people. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
So I did that, and I was with it all the way from freshman year to my senior year, and I, like, took on different positions and director positions in there. But that, plus the career class that I took, it showed me that I wanted to go into the event planning world.
Yeah.
And also, I guess along with that, some of the people I had met were in strategic communications for their major at TCU, and that was the closest path to be an event planner.
Yeah.
Because that involved, obviously, communications, PR, marketing.
Right,
like,
marketing.
Advertising, things like that. And so I was like, okay, like, that really helped me a lot.
And you like the people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got into that major and that different career path. I mean, it's completely different. But if you think about it, event planning is very also logistical and analytical still. Like, there's still so much creativity. I mean, you have to be creative to invent, like, different engineering.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just a different type of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it was a little bit easier for me to also go to that field from engineering to now this a little bit different creative analytical thing. So
yeah,
that was I don't know, I think that's an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, so I did that, and I also double majored with Spanish because I like the language, and I think it's a really good thing to know.
Yeah, absolutely, especially
I'm
living
not fluent,
in Texas. And
You're
about the most fluent person I know, Soph.
I can get by, and, like, I understand mostly. I understand a lot of what I hear. Yeah. I have to ask them to speak a little bit slower.
Sure.
But I can get by. I studied abroad in Spain, Sevilla.
We love Sevilla.
But had to come back early because of Mrs. Coronavirus. Yeah. So that was a bummer.
Our sweet, sweet friend, Corona.
And then that led me to Dallas after graduation.
Which I think it's interesting that travel has a lot to do with your story, too, because I just feel like you going to Sevilla and trying on all these different, like, whoa. My brain is moving faster than my mouth right now. But I feel like a lot of your story, it's like, who does Sophie take on when she's in these different environments?
Yes,
you know?
environments.
And I think that's really
key.
interesting. And it's like hearing how you play off of the people around you. Because
Yes.
like going to your K through senior year school, you felt like you were the same person. Like obviously you grew a lot and it made you a lot of the foundational person that you are, right? But then you go to TCU and you have this new environment and you can kind of try on these different identities almost. It's not just what do you want to be, it's who do you want to be.
True.
Too.
And I think environment is so, like, that is such a good word that you just used, because environments do shape us. And like, you're not really, you don't have a choice of where you're born, who you're born to, like what situations you're in and everything. And I mean, you get to choose kind of what environments you go to next if you like, and not 100%, but you get to help influence that environment. And I think
it's like either, because obviously getting out of your environment does take a certain level of like money,
things have to go a certain way,
right? Luck, all of those things, but also impacting the environment around you, like you said.
Yeah. And another thing, like personality wise, for me, I feel like my personality also changes a little bit based on whatever environments I'm in too, because I know I'm definitely an introvert. Like I do need time to re-energize myself.
Sure.
But also when I'm around people that are like, you two are always super happy and bubbly, and that like makes me go up in my like even if I'm like sad one day or down, it always is more comforting to be like sitting with you guys because my energy level comes up. Or like in my work, like everyone is so like ready to go and energized and like being creative and thinking and just doing all that kind of stuff. And so that also brings my energy
makes
to
you feel a little
level.
bit more like snappy and
like
ready
let's
to go.
Like we can do this. Like let's think about solutions and different ideas or whatever. And so environment is just so critical to like growth, but also like I think personality and your feelings and like that kind of stuff. Yeah,
100%. So there's a lot with that that's like how you are impacted by the environment. But tell me a little bit about how you, what were you going to say? Sorry, you go.
No, you're good. I was just going to say another thing that I remember this specifically. I can't remember what the situation was, but it was like my 8th grade year. And there was some big school event happening where you'd go to different sessions and hear different speakers or do different like discussions with everyone, you know, thinking more deeply about stuff. And I remember this one was about like women and like being empowered and, you know, being able to, I don't know, just women empowerment basically.
Yeah, pop off. We love it.
And also about how sometimes women fall into these roles that maybe are a little, it's just how do I explain? I guess the best way to explain it is that some people felt like they couldn't necessarily do everything that they wanted to. It's easier
for women to feel like there's a certain path that they like are expected to take.
But okay, so for me, if I was like not feeling that way when all these people were explaining or describing that, because my mom, like I just talked about, both my mom and my aunt, they're
entrepreneurs.
I grew up with my mom basically in a single family home, and she was my role model, and you know, I looked up to her, and my mom's like honestly a badass. Like I love her to death, and she's taught me so much, and also like a lot about how to value myself and value myself as a woman too. And so I never had those doubts or those like issues.
Well, and it was always modeled for you, not just being told to you that like, oh yes, like you're a woman, you can do anything, but also I think that seeing a woman do that and take on that mantle and like, of course any decision that a woman chooses to make with her life is her choice, and like that's amazing and that's what she should do. But seeing that example certainly helps you see what is possible.
And like that's just it. I'm not like bashing on like women who want to be stay-at-home moms.
Oh no, absolutely.
Like, I'm like, you go do that. If that's what you want to do, I support you in that. But that's because you want to do it, not because you feel like you have to.
Everyone should have the choice there.
But whereas my mom, like she was a go-getter, and she started this company. My aunt helped her do it, and they did it together. And my mom took care of me, and she got food on the table, and like there was definitely sacrifices and stuff, but
of course.
She did it. And like I never fault, or what's the word? I never second guessed like who my
that
mom
you could
was,
do
and
that
that
too.
I could do that too, and I
Yeah.
could have my own business one day if I wanted to. Or basically, she'd always tell me like, "Who are you? What can you do?" And I'd have to say my name, and I'd have to say I can do anything I want to if I put my mind to it. Yes.
How old are you when your mom would do that?
Since I was little. She did that to me the other day because I was freaking out about like work and just wanting to do well and everything.
Really?
Yes. It's a good reminder.
No, that so is. I love that. Like, and what a cool thing to even be able to do to yourself. Like, if you're
Yeah,
freaking
in
out,
the
like, go look
mirror.
in the mirror. Like, who am I? What am I capable of? And it's
Yeah.
genuinely like anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, get your tears out if you need to, because it resets the nervous system or whatever the biological term
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But then tell yourself you can do it and remind yourself who you are.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah.
So you mentioned being raised with like your single parent household, and I know that that's a little bit more complicated than just that. Like that's a oversimplification.
As every family is.
Right. But I feel like spirituality is also a really big part of growing up, and I think that values are often really tied to that. So it sounds like your mom gave you a lot of really important intrinsic value in yourself, in independence, in like knowing your worth.
Yes.
Just really, really amazing skills for anyone to have, but especially a young woman. Did those values ever come from spirituality? Was that ever a piece of that for you?
So my family is Episcopalian. Like, I was baptized. I went to what's the word? This explains a lot. I'm not that spiritual. Like, I can't even remember the word of. I was confirmed. That's what it was.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
So I did that like in middle school. That just basically.
Sophie's like, what is it?
Yeah, no. So here's the deal. I believe that there's a God or a higher being, but I'm not someone who reads the Bible all the time. Like, I don't read the Bible. I probably will never pick up the Bible, but I still believe that there's something. What I call it God, but whatever it is, I know that there's a higher being. And my mom has always been like, we never really went to church, but obviously my school was Episcopalian that I went to, and so we'd have chapel every day, like 20 minutes.
Sure.
And, you know, at the time I was like, oh, chapel. Like,
right.
20 minutes of boring time. But actually, now that I look back at it, I liked my chapel at my school because it was very open, and it wasn't just like, it wasn't like
prescriptive.
Put it down your throat, like, this is what you have to do. It was very big on morals and like being a good person and, you know, giving anecdote stories. And I loved that because the stories were so good, one, and just like because some of the chaplains were like, they had like kids or whatever, and they just talk about their family and like things that they learned from their lives. And so it was more real, and it felt easier to grasp, and it wasn't just about God and religion. It was more about being a good person and being good to yourself and being good to others, and how important that is.
I think for a lot of people, that is what religion ends up being, is like this system for how do I be a good person? How do I treat others well? How do I treat myself well?
I never felt judged at my school either. Like, it was like a very really judgment-free religious environment in my experience.
Right, because not everyone has that case. Yeah,
but that's how I took it. And, you know, I'm sure there were some days where I was like, oh, are you kidding me? But for the majority, I think I had a positive experience, and just, you know, just be a good person. Yeah. And just be generous to others and help others. Yeah. So that. And my mom was always like, you know, I believe in something or God or whatever, but, you know, it doesn't matter, like, what you look like or what you do. Like, you owe it to everyone to be respectful and be kind. And that's, in going along with that, that's the great thing about being in America, is that you get to have your own opinions as long as you're also respectful to others. Like, you have, like, you get to have your thoughts, you get to have your opinions, you get to believe what you want to believe, but you have to be respectful of others. And that's just that's the religion my mom taught me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I definitely feel like, it sounds like when you say religion, I hear like shared humanity.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's very much what I'm hearing. It's like this generosity of spirit, this, even like at the beginning, like this practicing gratitude, like for each other, for yourself, for where you are. And the root of that is like knowing this value that your mom instilled in you of like how powerful you are and how magical like you are. Everyone else has that too. And so it is this kind of shared thing where it's like, maybe that is,
Yeah.
am I putting words in your mouth?
No, I get that. And I think just the big thing is just you have to give back to others and in order to give back to yourself too. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be generous. You have to put time or money or whatever back into your society and to people so that they can thrive, and you just have to be good to people and respect them.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But beyond it just being the right thing to do, why do you think that is like the right thing to do?
You just feel it. Like, it's just innate.
I was going to ask, where do you think that comes from? So do you think...
I get horrible, like, gut feelings if something's wrong, or,
Yeah.
like, I'll just feel so guilt. Like, I just know it, like, inside. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, I know exactly what you mean, because it's like, oh, did I hurt someone's feeling? Then it's like, boom, you're like, it feels like your heart is in your throat, like, immediately, you know? But do you think... So just for argument's sake, right? I feel like there might be some people who are like, oh, well, that's just conditioning because we live in a society. We live in a society where, but like where like being generous and like communal living and like all of those things are rewarded and we're taught to do those things and to feel good about doing those things.
Oh, I see.
So do you think... Like, where do you think those things come from? Like, is that truly a thing that you think, like, we're born with? Or do you think that that is this bigger kind of, this innate thing that we're born with that's this shared feeling? Or is it just the way that our society has functioned for so long and kind of evolved into?
Interesting. I have not thought this deeply recently. This is my thoughts. My thoughts are, I would hope that it's innate. I believe it's innate in myself. Because I feel so strongly about it by my gut and by like...
Yeah. Like it feels like that for you.
It feels like it for me. And obviously I don't know that. But I do think that people are shaped, obviously when they're little, like you're taught, like, don't like share the toys. Like, don't take the toy from Sally Q or whatever, because you need to share and like let her play for a little bit and then you can play. Like, but the other... Oh, wow, you're really putting my head through the blender right now. I don't know.
And you don't have to have succinct thoughts by any means.
Okay, so to some, I would hope that it's an innate thing that we push to teach at a young age so that it becomes even stronger.
You hope it's like an encouragement of that innate feeling.
Like, I hate the thought that people are just doing it so that they can get accolades from the news or something. But, I mean, wouldn't you want someone to be nice to you too, or to help you?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think anyone would. And so, you know, just help them if you can.
Yeah.
And, like, hopefully someone will help you when you're in a time that you need help.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about it too plainly. But
no,
that
I don't
makes
think
sense to me.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to think about it. It's more just...
Or I try to be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
For me, if I get too down in the nitty gritty, it kind of makes me sad and then be like, society sucks.
Because, yeah, like when I do think deeply about it, I'm like, well, there are some people out there who don't have that gut feeling, you know? It's like there are those people of the world. There are those bad people. But I agree with you that I would like to be optimistic and think that it is this innate feeling, this innate, like, shared humanity is kind of this thing that unites all of us together. But I just think it's interesting to think about, like, is that actually what it is? Because not everyone believes that. Even though they believe in generosity, it's like, where does that come from?
Okay, also think about it like this. So, us humans, we're social animals, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can't survive by ourselves. Like, solitude sucks. And, like, I mean, think about, solitary confinement, like, in prisons. Like, it's not great.
That's the biggest punishment.
It's like or going to the corner when you're little because you were a bad kid.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be alone and you want to survive together. And also, like, if you think about, like, reproducing too, like, having more kids and things like that, you need more than just one person usually. Yeah. And so...
I mean,
you do.
Typically.
Okay? I'm not... You get what I'm saying. You have to have more than one person, okay?
We got the birds and the bees talk from Sophie today.
But you can't survive without yourself, so innately, shouldn't you want to help other people? And,
Well, and that's interesting because it's like, so has it become an innate feeling because it was developed? Like, way back in the day. So, like it's also this thing where I'm like, is it a little bit of both? Which is, like, where you always end up. But I think that's part of, like, holding the gray area in life, too, is, like, okay, but also it's more complex than that, you know?
But also, I think I just, like, argued against myself because I don't want to think someone's helping me just for survival.
Right. No, exactly. So that was another thing I was thinking about, too, when you were talking. Because at the beginning, we were talking a little bit about... like being this strong individual with like knowing your worth. And also you mentioned that like you're an introvert and you do need to be alone sometimes to recharge. So like, yes, humans are naturally social animals and we need to be around other people to kind of survive, or maybe not survive, but to thrive. We definitely need other people and that connection. And you also talked a lot about how environments have shaped you. And made you who you are, like your school, your like elementary through high school, and then the TCU environment and the Spain environment. So it's like this interesting combination, even just using you as like an example, where you feel just such a strong sense of right and wrong that like you have always felt and you've always like had that. And yet you are still impacted and shaped by the people and environments around you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. I just think that's interesting.
Perfect summary.
Well, because it's like there is this kind of in between, right? Where I want to believe that people are just naturally, for lack of a better term, good. Yet we know that evil exists.
Yeah.
Or does it? Like, that's another question. But,
yeah.
But also, it's like, well, are we naturally good, but because of the necessity to be?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so here's what I think we're beating around the bush about. Altruism. Is it possible? What are your thoughts?
I'm a little bit stupid and I don't remember what altruism is.
Sophie, you are not stupid. Stop it. One, you're not allowed to talk badly about yourself. Two, Miss Missy, know your worth. Do not call yourself stupid.
Okay, that's true.
Altruism.
I know I remember studying this. I just literally can't remember what it is.
No, you're good.
Give us a definition.
Yeah,
Reese.
I got you. Altruism is doing something for the pure purpose because it is the right thing, because it is good. It is good just to do good without anything in return. And you can't really prove it. That's the problem, is that so many people are like, well, it probably doesn't exist because you can't prove it. Because like even helping someone cross the street, you can't prove whether they're doing that because they think that's the right thing or because it makes them feel good to have helped someone. You know, it's like even that is something you get in return. Is it possible to do something without getting anything in return, or without wanting to get anything in return, even if you do get something in return? So that, which I think is kind of in line with this conversation that we're
Yeah.
having, you know?
Again, I guess my optimistic side wants to believe yes.
See, I'm the same way.
Maybe not 100% of the time, but I feel like there has to be at least one time in everyone's life, at least I hope, that they've actually done something just to help someone.
Just because it was the right thing.
And even if they got something in return, I feel like that's fine if they didn't expect it or didn't even, like, want
that
it.
Wasn't
like,
the goal.
Yeah, like, that wasn't the end goal, but for some reason, maybe someone just happened to video them doing this amazing thing all of a sudden, and then now they're on the news or something like that. Like, I think that could be, like, an example.
Yeah.
But, because, again, like you said, who knows?
Right. But from your own experience, because I would say for me, I'm like, I feel like, sure, there are times when I've done nice things for people where my intentions maybe weren't purely, I want to help them, right?
Yeah.
But I also know there are other times in my life where I have done things that are inconvenient for me.
Yeah.
And that I still do it because I feel like it's nice, you know, or kind or helpful. But it almost, for me, goes back to this question of, do we even know our own intention behind that too?
No, I feel like for me, I feel like I get, like I said, like, and I innately feel like I know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel like I act on it all the time.
Right.
But then again, no, you're never gonna know. I feel like because your brain is so freaking smart, and, like, who knows what your brain, like, okay, now we're just going down a spiral, and
yeah,
it's like,
but I
what
love
is my
it.
brain actually thinking?
Exactly. But this is my favorite
brain
spiral.
running me, and, like, I don't even really know that it's
like
Matrix, like,
no,
what the heck is happening?
No, actually, but, like, with going back to this other question of, like, do we feel this sense of right and wrong because of us being conditioned to get there? Do we do nice things for people because of that same conditioning, and we feel like we want to do that just because it actually is helpful to us in the long run, and we've evolved to get there? Or is it actually pure? That might be the best. Like, could it be pure?
You know, like, you're scrolling Instagram and you're getting, or you're liking photos, and then, like, you post something and you get likes, and that gives you, like, the dopamine,
the serotonin,
the serotonin. So, like you were saying, every time you help someone, you get a rush of serotonin or dopamine or some happy pill in your brain, and then, like you said, it's conditioned to want to do those things because it makes you feel better, good, which isn't necessarily doing it out of. It's not necessarily altruistic, right?
But that's the thing, is, like, can it be altruistic if, like, you don't know your own intention behind it? Right. It's like, how much are we even in control of our own processing? I know. I know. This is what keeps me up at night, Soph.
And we're doing this at night.
Yeah, we are. Sophie's got her cocktail here.
Which means I'm not going to bed.
No, so okay, to reel this spiral back in, because I think these are really big, interesting questions that, like, we're not gonna solve.
No, absolutely not. We're just gonna talk about it.
Yeah, but I love talking about it. But to reel it back in, what do you think those types of, like, questions and considerations do for you in your life? Because you're just such a person of conviction, I think, is, like, a word that I would really use to describe you with this. Like, you feel this sense of right and wrong, and this huge kind of responsibility to do what's right, and you have this, like, almost certainty about what that is for you. How does that impact your life and how you live? Like, is that like a driving force for you, or is that this kind of other thing that's, like, just a principle, for lack of a better term, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a driving force because it leads me to make my decisions. And those decisions obviously impact me and, like, what course of action my life goes on. Yeah. So it's definitely a driving force. But there's also, like, a shadow side of it, because I feel like I do make a lot of correct decisions. But then when I feel like I don't make the right decision, then it just eats at me inside. And I can't it's hard for me to get over it. and to move past it. And so that can become crippling sometimes for myself, because I'll then go in spirals in my mind and just think about how it could have played out differently, or like I
didn't do the right thing.
Yeah. And then it just turns to like loathing, kind of, which is opposite of how I want to feel, and opposite of how like I was raised. So
right. Well, and even this idea that like this value that your mom instilled you with of like your sense of self-worth, that like you are worthy. It's, for me, a piece that's been really transformative is like realizing that I'm inherently worthy without doing the right thing.
Oh.
You know, it's like you don't always have to do the right thing to be a good person. And I think sometimes...
Like, I know I'm human and I know I'm going to make mistakes, but it's still really hard to get over those mistakes.
Yeah, it is.
And like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not afraid to fail, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes.
Those are the best learnings.
It is. Like, I mean, if you don't learn from this, then it's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over. But at the same time, it's not a fun place to be at, and it's not a fun place to feel, which I know, again, like I said, it's necessary and I'm not afraid of it, but I don't like the part of it where if it's something that I feel guilty about, or that I'm like, or like the crippling aspect of it. So it's just like, and that's something I've been trying to work on. And
I was gonna say, do you see a future where something like that happens and you can maybe have that like feeling of growth, or like, oh, I made a mistake, but like not have that, like, I'll borrow a word you used, like crippling feeling? Mm-hmm. Is that like an end goal you foresee yourself achieving?
I mean, I definitely want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel this, and I think I felt it a lot more recently, just because like transitioning from college to more adult life and
it's a huge transition period.
So I've definitely felt the impact of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. So yes, my goal is to get over that. And like, for example, the other morning I was frustrated with myself for doing something silly, and that I really probably didn't need to be frustrated about myself with.
Right.
And so I went on a walk that morning to like clear my head, because walking helps me a lot. Mm-hmm. And I like basically talked to myself, and I was like, Sophie, I'm not happy with the decision I made, but I'm going to learn from it, and it's fine. I need to give myself grace.
Yes.
And then I just need to move forward. And it helped. Not 100%. I still felt it, but it definitely helped. Yeah. And that's a baby step, rather than just sitting in my sulking, crippling, guilty feeling.
No, that's huge.
So
that is huge. Like, that is something that, one, I don't think many people can do, is like talk themselves out of that spiral, you know, when like you feel that coming on, because it's like, oh, it's about to happen. Like, I know that I'm going there.
Yeah.
And being able to do that for yourself. But I think that self-grace is also just so big too, because going back to this way that like we deserve to give back for others, it's like, what if someone was to make the same mistake you were? You would be the first person to like...
It's okay. Like, people make mistakes.
Right.
What are we going to learn from it and move forward? Like, I would tell you or Nicole that in a heartbeat. But
right.
when it comes to telling that to myself, it's like slap in the face, you know?
Right. And it's like, it really shouldn't be different, and yet it is.
Yeah.
So I think this is really, really powerful, Soph. And I think what I want to end our conversation on is, what are some of your tactics and strategies for practicing? This sounds so corny, and like
it
Instagram commenting or like Instagram like quote calligraphy stuff, you know what I'm saying? But like, what are your tips for practicing self-love? And not self-love in the sense that like, tell me your bath time routine. Like, of course I want to know your skincare routine. Like, you know that. But like actual self-love in the sense like, what helps you when you're in that moment? Like you said, going on a walk and talking to yourself. Like, what are things that you do like that you think that like maybe someone listening to this, also sounds corny, but maybe there is someone out there who is struggling with something similar or trying to get to the place where you are, where you can talk to yourself a little bit more about that. Like, what has helped you do that, and what are things that you found help you do that now?
Well, I think the first thing for me is, like, moving, because, like, when this happened to me, it was, like, right when I was, like, waking up, I was just, my brain was already spinning, and I was thinking about stuff, and I was like, crap. Like, I just made a big mistake. It wasn't that big a mistake, and I was just laying in bed, like, I felt paralyzed in my mind and just thinking about that and starting to go in that spiral. And I was like, no, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go put on some clothes and go on the walk. So I focused on the one thing at a time. Yeah. And I went and did that. And then that helped a lot. And then I guess I'm a little bit more, like, my brain is more logical oriented. So I tried walking myself through my thought processes logically and being, like, an outsider and hearing it from an
observer of your own thoughts.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I feel like that helps sometimes.
100%.
But again, like, I'm not a professional at this, and like I said, it helped, but it wasn't 100%.
Sure, but also I think that your lived experience is worth a lot.
Yeah, and another thing, like, while I was on my walk, I'm really bad about being present in the moment. I'm a lot of times thinking about what's coming next. And so on my walk too, I was thinking about, like, visually, what am I seeing, like, in the sky, the trees, and just, like, details. And also audibly, what am I hearing? So, like, the birds in the morning, which I love. Like, I love the sound of the birds in the morning and, like, everyone getting ready, like, for the day and stuff. So audibly, because, like, when you can think about what, like, actually focus and think about what you're seeing and what you're hearing, it brings your attention to those rather than the outside sounds in your brain.
You're such a Buddhist, Soph.
Oh gosh. See, I just need to take my own advice sometimes.
No, but that is, like,
but
it
helped.
Like,
and it made me feel a little bit happier and more calm.
Yeah,
too.
No, absolutely. Because the awareness of, like, the present moment is, like, mindfulness and, like, this present awareness and, like, loving kindness of yourself and others. Like, those are very, like, Buddhist principles, but also really powerful to, like, pull your mind out of a certain spot and back into the present. Or I think moving is really powerful too, because that releases a lot, like, just biologically.
I'm just a jittery person, and, like, already, like, whether it's in my brain thinking about stuff or moving, like, a lot of times I'll be at, like, a dinner table or something, I'll be tapping my foot or moving my knee, and either my mom is like, stop, you're making me anxious, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my anxiousness out. And so it's gotta go somewhere. It's gotta go somewhere, exactly. So it just helps with movement, or so
I love that. Well, Sophia, thank you for being here. I so enjoyed our conversation. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I really like that we started with something. Wait, what is something you're grateful for today?
Ooh.
I'm gonna throw that question back at you.
I love it.
That was what I liked. I liked doing that earlier.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked that. You know what? I'm really grateful that the sun was out today. The weather has just been not super happy, and even when I'm not outside, the, like, color of the sky, I've realized, like, the level of light that comes through our windows and the color of the sky can really impact my mood. And so, like, seeing a blue sky, seeing a bright sun, like, just makes me happy. Even if it's still a lazy day, I'm like, I just feel a little bit more
happy,
cozy.
Yeah,
cozy. A little bit brighter, I guess. That's so I'm grateful for the sun today. Okay, final question, last question. Okay. I want one word. No loopholes, no cheating, no hyphens.
Oh, goodness.
That describes just how you're feeling right now.
Relaxed. And I haven't felt that in a while, so I'm feeling good.
I'm glad. That makes me really happy. Well, I love you so much, Soph.
Love you too.
And Thank you for taking the time to do this and supporting me and having a really fun conversation with me.
But of course, darling.
Thank you, so.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you all so much for listening today. I really appreciate you being here and making it to the end of the episode. If you want more of Sophie, head to her Instagram at Sophie_Alford8. If you want more info about today's episode and the conversation Sophie and I had, head to thecoherecollective.com and click on blog. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can subscribe to our newsletter on thecoherecollective.com so you never miss another episode. For updates on all of our stuff, follow us on Instagram at The Cohere Collective, and if you'd like, you can follow me on Instagram at Lillian Reese Brown. Making Meaning's theme music is provided by Podington Bear, and if you feel so inclined, feel free to leave an honest review or rating. It helps me reach the people who will resonate with my content and hopefully reach my goal of making the world a better place. Sharing the pod is also a great way to start conversations with important people in your life, and it helps us spread our message as well. Right now, I am feeling excited. It is another friend's birthday today, and we're going to go celebrate tonight. So I'm just really thankful to be living the life I'm living, where I get to do something I love and then go celebrate someone I love. Thank you for being here, and I hope you feel like you're living more coherently. Catch y'all next time. Love.